Zidane Danny, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, we are going to be discussing Final Fantasy Lost Stranger Volume 4, which, honestly, I have absolutely loved talking about the Final Fantasy manga, Final Fantasy Lost Stranger, basically since it came out. Honestly, this whole series has been so much fun. Just going through it, and honestly, I'm so excited to continue to read it and for eventually volume 6 to come out, but don't know when that's going to happen. Did I say that I started reading it when it came out? No. But when this series started, yes, I have been reading it since then, and honestly, I love this series. And the simple fact of the matter is that Final Fantasy Lost Stranger is 100%, and this solidifies it in my mind that Lost Stranger is 100% a Final Fantasy. Characters are developed, and even those that are evil that we've seen so far have actual meaning behind them, and it's honestly so interesting. One of the things that I was kind of starting to worry about is when are we going to find out who the main villain of the series is? And unfortunately, we may never know. But at this point, I'm 100% willing to say that the Magus sisters are not the main villain, and more than likely will become good allies by the end of the series. But what exactly is Volume 4? Well, unlike Volume 3, which basically concluded a cliffhanger and then yeah, basically all of that chaos and finished off with a pretty good moment. This volume is all taking place at one precise moment. Starting off with everyone getting ready to go to the actual crowning of Sarah, this volume primarily is during that time, and basically revealing that the Maga sisters have been hiding inside the tower for the past few days, just learning how to activate Reflect, which is honestly so cool to find out that that was one of the forbidden spells. Some of these spells, just thinking about them, make you realize that holy crap, a lot of these spells are standard practices for just a whole bunch of characters in the main Final Fantasy games, but it actually helps me to realize that if these ones are the forbidden basically spells that are very limited with who's allowed to use them, it actually makes a lot more sense. Because why exactly have have all the Final Fantasies focused on these specific characters? Well, maybe it's the fact that they have been able to access spells that no one else has been able to. So, or they're just rare to be able to use. Definitely some food for the brains. But pretty much this whole volume is pretty simple and straightforward. And honestly, this is probably going to be my shortest review because pretty much everything that happens is a bunch of discussion and a bunch of combat, showing that the different characters that we've met along the way actually, within this world, actually really support Sarah, knowing that she is the perfect candidate for the next queen. On top of that, they've been dealing with a lot of other chaotic moments in the past, but realizing this is really solidifying the fact that Sarah really will become one of the great leaders of this country that they're in. So, needless to say, I'm excited to see how the story will continue going forward. And with the Maga sisters at long last actually defeated, I am so excited to see how the story will continue moving forward. And yes, I am saying right now that they are defeated because at the back of volume 5 it actually says they have been defeated. Obviously this is volume 4, but yeah. At the back of volume 5 it says that they have been defeated and all this jazz, and that there's going to be a whole bunch more chaos to deal with. So, yeah, even though they haven't completely been defeated yet, this is basically a wrap up right now with basically Volume 5's first chapter is basically just going to be wrap up, basically getting all of the stuff dealing with the Magus Sisters contained and moving forward. But I do have to say that should you still read Volume 5 or Volume 4, even though it's pretty self-explanatory that this was all basically just one big fight? Actually, yeah. A lot of this, even though this is a pretty much just a fight throughout the entire volume, I'd say that this delves more into the character of these people, as well as to help realize that these characters are willing to do a lot of things to protect each other and to help each other a lot of the time. And it also helps us develop a lot more of the story behind the Magus Sisters. I won't go into all of the detail because I don't want to spoil anything, but, well, I mean, this has been around for a little while, so I guess it's not that big of a deal. But the point is that the Magus Sisters, now that they're dealt with and all of that jazz, getting all of this story about their backstories and stuff has actually helped a lot, and helped us to realize why they need someone like Sarah to take over and become the new queen of the town, which I'm still struggling to remember its name, even though I've read it like 20 times by now. The point is that these characters have grown, and Sarah is realizing why her people need her more and more. And that is an important factor with any ruler. Understanding that you need to be there for your people. Because if you do something that people are going to despise, or if you do something that is evil, your people will realize that and will stand up against you. Or at least they should. The fact remains that, unfortunately, in real life, that's not necessarily the case. But the fact remains that those who have been hurt a lot by previous actions will stand up, especially if it's during the transfer of power. And that is a factor that people need to realize. That rulers need to be good and wise and protect their people. That is their job. It's not to give themselves more power or whatever. The whole purpose of being a ruler is to be someone that your people can look up to and realize, hey, they're standing up for me. And that is something that we should have. Which, honestly, I think that the way they handled it in Final Fantasy is actually really good. In fact, I actually find it kind of funny that I'm reading about this as all of the chaos with That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime is happening. For those of you who aren't fully aware, recently in the anime for That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, they're currently in the process of taking down the Falmouth Kingdom because of the way that the king has been acting, hurting people that have no quarrel with him. And due to that factor, Rimuru has gotten pissed. And I think that realizing that is a very important thing. Honestly, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime and Final Fantasy Lost Stranger are kind of two sides of a similar coin. Basically, with Slime, it's a evil ruler has been using his power maliciously for a long time and needs to be stopped. While for Final Fantasy Lost Stranger, it's a king who's lost his way, and even though he's not a great guy by any standard, but he is someone who did want to do good. He just got hurt, and sometimes things happen where you honestly don't know what you should do. And sometimes people are going to do stuff that you really will not like. And learning from that is a big factor. I don't know. There's a lot to it, but it's also important to realize is that this honestly does remind me a lot of the dagger and the queen, which I keep forgetting what her name is in Final Fantasy IX. The two of them are very important characters. And if they had just had these talks that Sarah and her father are having now, I honestly think that things would have turned out much better. And it's quite possible that a lot of the things that happen at the end of Final Fantasy IX never would have happened. So, yeah, needless to say, it's actually really interesting, to say the least. Oh, but anyways, guys, I've gone on too long for this chapter, for this volume. Honestly, this one feels like it's one of the shortest ones. But yeah, uh, also, I will be doing, for those of you who are primarily here for Miraculous content, tomorrow will be actually a Miraculous video talking about the new episode, perhaps? I don't know if it's actually come out yet by the time that that this video comes out, or when it exactly comes out. I just know that it's coming out very soon. So expect that video to come out talking about that whole episode coming out soon. It will not be a reaction. It's going to be something else. Kind of similar to what I've done before with My Hero, but it's going to be a lot more in depth. So definitely look forward to seeing that, as well as all of the other chaos that's going to be coming down the pipeline for Miraculous and all of the other awesome shows that are coming around the corner in just a few weeks. But anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and ring that notification bell. And of course, if if you do have any thoughts or theories, please leave them down in the comments below. If you are going to leave a theory, make sure to say theory review somewhere in your comment. And of course, if you do want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of our links down there, including our social medias, our other channels, and ways that you can support us financially, including our Patreon, our merch store, and of course, the book. But anyways, guys, I have been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!